Next, nominating speech for Dr. Tim Johnson, time not to exceed 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Latessa Johnson, wife and supporter of Timothy Johnson. I'm going to speak to you all from my heart here, and I want you to keep in mind the individuals that gave you information about Timothy, because I'm going to tell you the other side of a coin, okay? And I'm going to let you know what a vote for Timothy Johnson represents. Tim has had a lot of attacks on his character, but I'm going to tell you what his character is really like. He reflects and he prays about his past, present, and future in order to move forward strategically. He repents. He repents for his wrongs and gets back in right standing for service to me and service to you all. He respects Republican principles and fellow citizens of this great state and nation. He's responsible, and he shows great restraint against the personal attacks that are irrelevant, divisive, and destructive to our great Republican Party. Instead of retaliation, what he has done is reinvest that energy and those efforts to positively lead the Republican Party forward in excellence. Now, as a vice chair, I will tell you what he will continue to do. He will continue to focus on those relationships and develop them through those grassroots conversations that he's had with many of you and collaborating with many of you. He will continue to reach out to traditionally underrepresented demographic groups to show the world our hospitality and receptivity. He will reestablish our foundation of Republican principles through innovation and best practices. And lastly, re-electing and supporting Republicans in upcoming races and replacing Democrats in others. So I hope that this brief time that I've spent with you, speaking from my heart, and taking out this precious time, that you will consider what I have said and give us your vote and support. Thank you.
By random drawing, the first nominee to address the convention, Dr. Timothy Johnson.
I must admit, as we've gotten late into the hour, I'm kind of reminded of Catawba County and their challenges they had. So I want to at least recognize you all because you stayed to 9, 10 o'clock at night in order to make a decision at your county convention. So give yourselves a round of applause. First of all, giving honor to God, for without him, I surely would not be here today. My wife did a wonderful job, didn't she? I made a decision as I was thinking about what I wanted to say to you all, that I was going to let God talk to me. Because I will tell you right off the bat that I have been personally attacked. And I was modifying how I wanted to say and what I thought was important. But you know, one of the things that I think is important, and one of the things that I heard Bill Randall say, was one of the reasons that he stopped and he said he wanted to get out of this race. So let me tell you a little bit about who Tim Johnson is. In 1995, a sad incident took place on Christmas Day. It happened as it related down to an issue with my ex-wife and I. We were going through some stressful time, and my mother ended up dying a year later. But subsequent to that, as a result of that event, I had a domestic dispute. It happened. And in May of 1996, I pleaded guilty to save my marriage to my ex-wife, to save my family. There are some people in this party who took a lot of energy to research that information 13 years ago and publish it on a blog site, because that was more important to them to bring me down as an individual than to save this party. I find it interesting how we talk as Christians to be about pro-life and to be about family values, and yet we forget about Matthew 7 that talks about don't talk about a speck on somebody's eye when there's a log in yours. I find it interesting when we look at what we have to do as a party that I will have somebody out of my own county take time to drop a press release at WLOS so I can be not only embarrassed in the Republican Party but embarrassed throughout Western North Carolina. I find that applauding. I find that appalling, and yet it happened. It happened this past Wednesday. Now, why do I say all that as I stand up here for vice chair? Because I think it's important for you to know who I am. I continue to give and give and give. I serve on numerous nonprofit organization boards, to include North Carolina Housing Coalition Board, to include Big Brothers Big Sisters Board, to include the YMI Cultural Center. I went on to serve in the United States Army and continue serving as a major in the United States Army. I went on to get a doctorate degree, and yet and still it's not enough, because all we want to do is talk about a sad incident. We forget about the fact that Tim Johnson served 21 years in the military. We forget about the fact that Tim Johnson, thank you. We forget about the fact of all the things that I've done in my life, because we want to go back and judge one incident to make me who I am. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to the men in this room who came up to them and said to me, I too have been a convicted felon, that are delegates in this room. For those of you who have felt that you've been pushed down and pushed out, I stand here before you today, not because I'm proud of an incident that happened, because I'm not. Ladies, I apologize, and I continue to apologize, but I made my peace with God, and I made my peace with my ex-wife, and surely my lovely wife has showed her endorsement. But let's talk about what we're going to do to move this party forward, because see, it's not about yesterday's news, it's about tomorrow's newsmakers. What we need to be concentrating on is recruitment and retention of our young people, and that means being real with our young people. That means being honest with our young people. That means letting our young people know that we're not perfect, that we all make mistakes. But see, Jesus Christ is good, and he forgives us. And that's an important message that we need to make sure that people know about the Republican Party, because one of the challenges that we have is that people perceive us that we're all the country club and we're the elite group. I tell you right now, I stand before you and say, I'm just like you. We all make mistakes. So that's the first thing that I want to do, is see recruitment and retention of young people. The second thing I want to do is I want to make sure that we do a better job of redefining what conservatism looks like in North Carolina. Here it is that we're in Raleigh, 1867, March 27, 1867. The Republican Party was started in this city with 101 whites and 46 blacks. This is my party, and you can't kick me out of my party. And finally, we've got to do it better at technology. I have a website, and it's been up, and those of you that visit my website and supported me, I thank you very much. But I've been on Facebook and MySpace and Twitter. Why? Because it's more than just talking. It's about action. Just as I repented my sin that took place and the decisions I made, and I've continued to work hard to show myself to be a servant unto Jesus Christ, a servant leader, I will make that commitment and continue to make that commitment to you, as I've done in Buncombe County. I thank all the people in Buncombe County who have given me an opportunity, even those that persecuted me, because it only made me a stronger person. Surely we all remember in Fred Smith's book where he talks about those things that basically don't break you, build you up. Well, I'm blessed for those. And I think that's the message that we need to be sending to the rest of the world, that yes, we're imperfect people, but we are committed to saving this country. We are committed to free enterprise. We are committed to lower taxes. We are committed to reaching out to every person. Our principle says that I believe that the most effective, responsive, and responsible government is government closest to the people. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm one of the people. I'm just an average Joe. I don't have a bunch of signs around here because we're doing this out of our own pocket. We're not getting a bunch of money from any big fat cows around the state. The reality is I made a commitment to do this. I made a commitment to do this because I believe this is how we make a change in this state. We show the world that we embrace, even those that have made mistakes, we embrace those people. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking for an opportunity to serve as your state vice chairman.